Hi, everyone, and welcome to our live tonight. I'm Coach Tukesa, and I am so glad to have an opportunity to sit with you tonight to talk about something that I believe is so important. As a matter of fact, beyond important. It's actually crucial. And as I begin my conversation tonight, I'd like to ask you to give me your opinion. Why is self care so hard for women? Like, literally hard for women. In your opinion, what is it that makes taking care of ourselves and engaging in self care so difficult from us? Now, before we dive right into our conversation, and if you're joining me live or on the replay, please let me know where you're watching from. And if there's anyone at all that you know, whether family, friend, or foe, who can benefit from this video, please make sure that you share it with them so that we can get as many people as involved in this crucial conversation, particularly women. Now, self care has become a very popular buzzword. I mean, everybody is throwing self care around. And even though that's the case, many women still struggle to prioritize self care in their lives. It's like self care has become more of a cliche statement or sound good statement versus an actual element of our lives that is so crucial. And so tonight we will have the wonderful opportunity of exploring some of the underlying reasons why self care can be challenging to so many women. If you can think of any reasons why self care is challenging for women, be sure to post them in the chat, particularly if you think that I've missed something. So, reason number one, the first reason that I am going to share tonight about why women find it difficult to engage in self care is the expectations of society. That is right. You heard me correctly. Society has an expectation of women, and it often places us under tremendous pressure to be caretakers, nurturers, and provide for everyone around us. Like from a very young age, women are taught to put others' needs ahead of theirs. We were told not to be selfish. We were told that if we sat down to take a break, we were being lazy, that there was always something to do, and that we had to serve other people regardless of how we felt. Now, if this happened to you, you may sometimes feel guilty when trying to take time for yourself, because you may feel as if you are neglecting your responsibility. And we often feel that way. Let's just have a real conversation, ladies. We often feel that if we sit down to rest, we are neglecting something that we should be doing, and we feel guilty about that instead of feeling fulfilled or feeling happy that we get to take a few minutes to replenish ourselves. Have you ever felt guilty for taking time for yourself? Like, seriously. So, that's the first reason, what society expects of us. The second reason is a lack of time. Don't let me get started about time, because balancing work, trying to balance a family, personal responsibilities really can leave little time for self-care. If you are a working mom, if you have a husband and then you have children, then you have other commitments. Even if you don't have a husband, if you are a mom and you have kids, you know how many things you're trying to balance. And I also want to say single women with no kids and no family, no husband, also have a lot of things that they're balancing. So just by nature of being a woman, you're balancing a lot. That's work, that's family obligations, that's your personal responsibilities, your civic and community duties, your church responsibilities. I mean, you name it. That can leave little time for us to really focus on ourselves. If you notice my post today, it talks about women balancing and wearing many hats. And it's the truth. We often take one hat off to put another hat on. When we wake up in the morning, we put on the cap of mom, we prepare for the day, get the kids ready, get out the door, get to work. When we reach to work, we take mom cap off, put career cap on, that interchangeably through the day. If our kids call us, career cap off, work family cap on. So throughout the day, like we're just navigating all these different caps that we have to put on, and it just feels like, whew, child, there's never enough time in a day. Now, I will tell you that the impact of this is that constant juggling act can lead to burnout and exhaustion, making self care feel like it's just another task on a list that you are already overwhelmed doing. Now, here's the thing, we have to look at the underlying cause of our busyness as well. Like, why are we staying busy? Why are we not comfortable sitting in silence? Why, if we are home, we have to have the TV on or we have to have the radio on? What is it about silence that makes us uncomfortable? Are we afraid to hear our own voices? Are we afraid that something will come to the surface that we don't really want to handle? And so we stay constantly busy, 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 and never getting into downtime, running from project to project, event to event. This can be overwhelming. Here's the thing, you either schedule time for your come down, that's what I call it, or you are going to crash and burn and have no choice but to take that time. Whenever I host a major event, and even if I have corporate training, I would usually take the next 3 to 4 days off so that I could come down. Engaging with people, doing mindset shifts, getting into the minds of people, working with them, helping to ask questions that guide their thoughts. It's a lot of work. Don't put on an event for like the cancer group where you have to set up, break down, all of that. It is a lot to do. And so after every major event, I schedule 2 to 3 days to ensure that I have the opportunity. I call it come down. I tell my husband, I have to come down. And so, amidst all of the responsibilities in our busy schedule, we have to find time for self care. So, the first thing or the first reason why women have a difficulty with self care is because of the society's expectations of the many roles that women play. Secondly, we believe we have a lack of time. Thirdly, perfectionism. We struggle with perfection. It has to be right, which means that we have to do it. That we desire to do it perfectly. And so delegation is something that we struggle with because if somebody else is doing it, they're not going to do it in the way that we are going to do it. So this mindset of perfectionism or things having to be done a particular way can make it really difficult for us to relax and take time for ourselves. And I used to struggle with this a lot. And I had to focus a lot on a lot of time and energy into coaching myself and accepting that someone may not do it to the standard that I would like to do it. However, if it's done in a way that's still exceptional, there's no issue. Now, if you're a mom and if you've ever had your kids wash dishes and you've gone back and washed the dishes over because they didn't do it correctly, or if you say, I'm not going to let my child wash the dishes, I'm going to do it myself because they're not going to do it right, that's a little element of perfectionism. If they don't do it and if they don't practice, they won't get it right. And so we have to learn that things don't have to be exactly how we want it to be for it to get done. And that high standard can actually prevent us from engaging in self-care activities because we may feel as if we're not doing enough to achieve the level of perfectionism that we have established in our minds. Yes, I have a standard of excellence. I will be the first to tell you that excellence is my middle name. However, excellence and perfectionism are two different things. I will execute an excellence and there will be flaws, and I'm going to be okay with that because there are pieces of that puzzle that definitely need to be delegated, which allows me time to focus on the more crucial components. And so, do you consider yourself a perfectionist? And if you do, how do you believe that alters your self-care routine? So that's 3 tips so far, 3 reasons so far, ladies. The fourth reason, and I spoke to this in a social media post just the other day, talking about the fact that when we sit in financial survival, it's difficult to engage in self-care. When you are trying to keep your head above the water financially, trying to, we call it steal from Peter to pay Paul, when we're trying to get enough money to pay on bills so your electricity doesn't go off, your water doesn't go off, your phone doesn't go off, you can still pay rent, get grocery. When you are stuck in survival mode and financial survival at that, it is extremely difficult to engage in self-care. Self-care, though, is often marketed as something that requires you to spend money. It could be like going to the spa or fancy projects, expensive clothing, or expensive classes. And for many women, financial constraints make those sorts of things out of reach. I will tell you very, very, very transparently and openly that I am a frugal sister, which means that I spend money responsibly. We enjoy the things that we enjoy, but we make sure that things that aren't necessarily needed and that are, negotiable, don't take the place of things that are non-negotiable. So for me, self-care could be a bubble bath. For me, self-care could be sitting in silence and meditating on a scripture. For me, self-care could be eating a healthy meal. And so it doesn't necessarily have to cost you a lot. So financial constraint is not a reason for people to avoid engaging in self-care. It could be going to the beach, packing a picnic, taking yourself to the beach. It could be reading a romance novel, mindless reading, so there isn't so much thought going in that. And so if you are struggling with financial constraints and feel that it's a reason not to engage in self-care, this can lead you to believing that self-care is a luxury rather than a necessity. And sister, I am here today to tell you that self-care is a priority and it is a necessity. So don't deprioritize it based on your financial constraints. The limitations that we may experience in our financial lives has nothing to do with how important self-care is. Whether you have money or not, it's important to indulge in self-care. So that's reason number 4. Let's move on to reason number 5. And this is the 5th reason that women give themselves for not engaging in self-care. And that is emotional barriers, low self-esteem, low self-worth, feelings of unworthiness. It could be unresolved trauma. All of those things can hinder us getting into self-care. When we feel that we don't deserve to take time for ourselves or that our needs aren't as important as someone else's needs, we definitely put self-care on the back burner. These emotional barriers are deeply ingrained in our mindsets. They're deeply rooted. Something in our lives or some series of events in our lives or our financial conditioning, our generational curses, the way that we have seen our family, especially Black women, struggle and toil and struggle and toil, have created some emotional barriers for us as it relates to self-care. And it can be challenging to overcome those barriers without support and without understanding. And we definitely have to break that curse over us that we are not deserving. Sis, you deserve rest. You are worthy of rest. As a matter of fact, just as much as you breathe, the mere fact that you need to breathe to live is just as important. That self-care is a necessity for your existence. We always talk about living this abundant life. An abundant life is not running and chasing and going after dreams and pushing and pushing and pushing. An abundant life is where you bring some sort of balance into your life, where you work, but you also replenish yourself, where you also take time to play, take time to rejuvenate yourself, take time to work, take time to enjoy the moments and create memories in life. So those emotional barriers are getting in the way of us really being able to indulge in self-care. I will tell you that growing up, I used to feel guilty about taking time for myself because I was taught in a Black home that we didn't rest, that we work until we slept. Right? That's what I was taught. There's always something to do. We were not taught rest. We were not taught rejuvenation. It was something that I had to uncondition myself from and then recondition. I was called lazy because I wanted to take breathers. And it's so amazing because I watched my daughter and she would say, Mom, I just need to take a 5-minute break. We used to get into little tiffs about it. And I was like, you know what? She's correct. This is not, we're not in slavery. We're not slaves. As a matter of fact, if you work hard, you should be able to take periods of rest. And so now that I've coached myself and reshifted my focus and retrained my brain, self-care is absolutely non-negotiable. Now, understanding the reasons why self care is difficult for women is the first step in making a change. If you've heard me on a live talking about going from overwhelmed to taking ownership of your life, you would hear me talk about the fact that acknowledging where we are is the first step. We can do nothing until we acknowledge the reasons why. And so, what are the underlying reasons why self care is difficult for you? That's a personal question because I've given you some reasons. I've given you 5 reasons why it's like why women have a difficulty. And those are 5 reasons that may resonate with you, and 3 may resonate with someone else, or 2 may resonate with another woman. But this is personal to you. What is it about self-care that makes it difficult for you to engage in? Because it's not until you recognize what that is that you will be able to take any steps toward changing that. Remember that self-care is definitely not selfish. Self-care is essential to your well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being. We have to take care of all of the aspects of ourselves and engage in the type of care that helps us to feel that we can thrive again. Now, if you found any of these tips helpful, please share this with other women so that they can look at these reasons to determine if any of those reasons are keeping them out of self-care. And I'd also like to hear your thoughts as a woman. What is it about self care that makes it difficult or easy for you to engage in? Now, before I sign off for today on this particular live, I'd like to take a minute just to remind you about the upcoming Thrive Retreat. The Thrive Retreat is being held in Orlando, Florida, and I'm thrilled to be working along with some amazing coaches, Dr. Gandhi Notes Thompson, Sandy Edgecombe, and Patrice Lockhart. And this transformative retreat is really designed to help you restore balance, find inner peace, and of course, reignite your passion for life. The retreat is being held November 7th through the 10th, 2024 in Orlando, Florida. And this retreat is ideal for the career woman who is focused on climbing the corporate ladder, but also for the busy mom who is feeling stretched and a bit thin and looking for a break. This is also for the woman who is interested in health and fitness, or a woman seeking professional growth and development, even a woman who is navigating transitions like being an empty nester, or adjusting to a career change, or being recently divorced, or being a widow, or recovering from a medical battle like cancer or any other devastating disease. So if you fit in any of those categories, I'd like to give you a personal invitation to attend this transformative retreat. We have 9 seats, we have 9 spaces available. 9 spaces available for 4 days and 3 nights in Orlando, Florida. We are going to be pampered in luxury accommodations. A private chef will be preparing our meals. We will have meditation on the Word of God every single morning. We'll have stretch and breathing exercises. We're going to have nutrition workshops. We're going to have vision board experiences. On day 1, Sandy is going to be talking to us about loving ourselves through the tough times. It's all about reconnecting and rejuvenating. On day 2, Dr. Gandhi Notes Thompson is going to be talking to us about how to really nourish our souls and what are some of the biblical principles for soul care. On day 2, we're going to have that chef demonstration where we're going to be teaching you how to prepare nutritious food. And also, Patrice Lockhart is going to be talking to us about Wellness 911 so that you know how to thrive, how to get from emergency 911 to thriving. And so that's on day 2. On day 3, we're going to have our healing circles, our morning meditation. I'm going to be the speaker for the day. We're going to be talking about how to expand your vision. We're going to be looking at your financial situation and getting out of financial survivorship. We are going to be talking all about how to cast a vision for your life that's true to what you desire. We're also going to have a free afternoon for shopping on this particular day. And that night, we are going out on a fabulous group outing. Day 4 is going to be our closing ceremony, a gratitude circle. And this is where our lifelong friendships are going to be formed, and people will walk away with new sisters and new networks that they can be a part of. I certainly hope that you will grab one of the 9 remaining spots for the Thrive Retreat. Go on over to duquessedean.com, click on Thrive Retreat for all of the details about the retreat, and let's have a rejuvenating and transformative time together. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on Friday for another part of our summer series for another topic just for women. Take care, guys. Bye.